Hi, hi friends. Welcome back to the Infotech Data Power Training. So today we are going to see the concept of AAA. AAA in Data Power it's called Authentication, Authorization, and Auditing. So how we are going to use AAA concept in Data Power? That's what we are going to see today class. So you know what is authentication? So authentication is the user is a valid user to log into that application, or the user is valid to invoke the particular web service, or the user is valid to particular any web application. It's basically the username password validation. That's what the authentication is basically happened. So the authentication means who the entity is, and entity authentication, the token, username and password, digital certificate. So these are the three methods we can do authentication using the token and username password validation and digital certificates. So the credentials are checked against the identity. So based on the identity, username, password, the credentials will be checked, and based on that username password combination, we will validate the user is authenticated user or valid user or invalid user. That's what the authentication says. The authorization is determining what the entity can do, which means the authenticated user can do what are the necessary operations. It doesn't mean that if the user is authenticated, he can go and do whatever he want in the particular web application or in data power or any web service. So we can restrict the authorization of the user. For example, we can define the roles like admin user or read only user and developer user, write user. This is various kind of roles we can define, and each role we are giving some authorization, and the user or in particular role can do this necessary actions only. So that is what the authorization is. So data power makes wide range of authorization decisions. So also in data power we can do a LDAP group authorization, the file based authorization. Authentication also is LDAP based and file based, we can do it. So in here we are going to see the file based authentication, because you don't have a LDAP server within yourself. So it's best practice to use a AAA authentication using the file based format. The XML file which is having the roles and responsibilities, which means the roles and authorized area to access the particular corresponding user and mentioning the groups, these are all happening in the one file. So based on the file we can do authentication, authorization, and auditing. So auditing is nothing but a logging. So how the logged in user can be monitored, and what are the user is doing. So something has happens to the user or server, we can go to that logging and we can identify that which user has did some wrong thing. That's what happening on auditing. It's the logging basically logs all the successful and unsuccessful requests. Also, we can do auditing in service level management as well. So this is post processing. So most important phase of AAA is post processing, which means successful authentication, authorization with your environment. So you are implementing both authentication and authorization of the user credentials. It can be done using tokens and request and credentials. So what AAAs actually do? The first AAA is extract identity. Basically, it could be either basic HTTP basic authentication, which is base 64 encoded username password combination, or username token, which is part of the WS security header. So if you say that if you are passing the SOAP XML using WS security authentication, you want to provide it, there is a two ways. One is you can encrypt base 64 encryption of username password combination. You can pass the encrypted value in the WS security header of the SOAP message. That is one way of doing it. And the second way of doing it is simply pass the username and password in the SOAP request header. Then it goes and validate correspondingly. Then it will allow you, tell you it's an authenticated user or not. We are going to see the examples how to authenticate authorize using DataPower. So the authentication also provides a Tivoli Access Manager or the example. These are the various examples for authentication. So what the stages of AAA? One is the map the credentials, map the username, password, credentials, extract resource, then extract the value of the username and password and map the results. So map the corresponding incoming value of username and password and map it to the corresponding resource and validate across the LDAP or across the file. Then identify the user is authenticated user or not. This is the authorization steps. How the user can be authorized once it's authenticated. So once the user is authenticated, you can know that the user belongs to which group. Which group? So the group could be a admin group or a developer group or tester group, as I said previously. So based on the group level permission, the authorization normally provide to the user. So this diagram shows how to create a AAA policy and AAA objects in DataPower. So this is what we are going to do it in an exercise now. So you can leave it these steps because we are going to see in a live exercise. So I am going to tell you how to do this. Okay. So now this is the exercise time for AAA. So I am going to log into the DataPower box. I am going to my domain AD test. So here I am going to create a simple XML firewall to test the AAA. Let us make through the pass through, then we will change it again. You can say as AAA XML firewall. Make it as loopback because there is no static backend. We are going to send the request to the DataPower, and DataPower is going to be acting as a server. It's validate AAA and it's going to respond us. So leave it as default port, that's fine, and give commit. Okay, done. Save config. Now go to the firewall what we have created right now. It's a AAA XML firewall. Open it. So make this request as SOAP. So create the policy editor. So I am going to do a AAA action now. So there is a AAA action. Drag and drop the AAA action. Double click the request. You want to add a AAA policy. So click the new policy. Create a new AAA policy. AAA sample firewall. Create. So use HTTP authentication header, and you can use password carrying username and token in WS security header. So normally I will use these two. There's lot of available options. If you want to use any of the other options in your web service or firewall, you can use it. Excuse me. So here use DataPower AAA info file, which means we are going to do a file based AAA concept. If you want to do a LDAP based, then bind and specify LDAP server. So bind to specify LDAP server means you have to before configure LDAP server, you can use the LDAP server configuration to authenticate and authorize the user. Since we don't have LDAP now, we will go for a file based authentication. So go here by default, go to store because IBM has provided some AAA file. Select AAA info.xml. So let us see what is there in their file. Click view. This is the file format. This is the authenticate. This is the authenticate information. Fred, Flintstone, and the output credentials. This is the role of the user admin. This is the username and password. This is the user role. Like this, there is lot of user and password and lot of roles are there. They have created a role called admin. They created a other role called admin. They have point as the admin role. This is the guest role. So here they are giving authorized. Here they are mentioning how to authorize the users. If the role is guest, the guest user is allowed to do access this allow only this URL and this URL. If the admin user can able to invoke only this URL and this URL as well as this URL. So admin dot star. If you put star dot, then deny. So this is what we are specifying here, authorization details. You can create your own custom authorization file and you can try it your own exercise. You can just copy and paste the XML and you can create a customized AAA file. You can use it for your exercise. Now click next. So resource identification method, select URL sent by client. So click next. Allow any authenticated client. So as of now, select allow any authenticated client. I will tell you the difference. What is it does mean. So click next. So I have created it. Click commit. Click done. So you have created the AAA object. Click done. Apply policy. Close the window. Apply. Save config. So now I am going to test this AAA firewall if it's work or not. So I am going to open my SOAP UI. I am going to pass some sample request to that particular firewall. So let me see what is the port number is 2212. Okay, I am going to pass some value for 2212. Click add new endpoint. Okay, now let us try 2212. Oh, it's HTTPS. It should be HTTP. Sorry. So the response is coming back. Let me see why it's coming back. Because I am already sending some authorization. That's why. Remove this authorization and try it now. remove this value itself. Okay, now try it. Okay, rejected by policy because it's not authenticated. We didn't pass any username and password here. So what is the username password? Go here, select the firewall, double click this, click cancel. It should be on the AAA.info file. It should be on the store. This is the AAA.info. Click it. You can see what is the username. Username is Fred. Password is Fredstone. This is for admin user. Okay. So I am going to pass this in a SOAP UI. Go here. Make username is Fred and type the password. Here authentication type. Leave it this. And password type. You have to select password text because it's not encrypted password. It's a default password. So now try it. So it's working. So if you see this response back, this is what we are begin the sense we are doing it. Fred, and if you see the password is Flintstone. So it's showing your password. Either you have to encrypt your password or there's another mechanism. How can we achieve this? That's what I said. In base 64 encode value in header. So remove this. And make it default none. So here I am going to add one header called authorization. So here value I told you base 64 should be username password format. So by default you have to give it a like basic colon let me check the other values how I am seeing it. Okay, let us see basic equal. Go to Google, try base 64 encoder. So go here. This is encode. So type your username colon password, which is like this username colon password. You have to type this. So username is Fred colon password and encode this value. This is the value. Copy, paste it. Now try it. It seems to be some error is coming. So I forget the format of how to send it. I should have noted it actually. Let me check any other examples. Here this one. Yeah, here's the AAA header. Okay, so it should be basic, not space, not equal to. Sorry, that's what my mistake. So it should be basic space and the base 64 encrypted value. Now try this. It's working. So in this way, you didn't see the username and password of the user who is invoking the web service. So this is how we can authenticate the user. So where is the authorization here? If you type anything, it will work. Edit current, go and type anything, it will work. There is no proper authorization is happening. Okay. So how can we do authorization here? That's what I told you. Go here, double click this, edit the AAA policy, come next, come next, this is come next. See, this is the value. Allow any authenticated client, that is what you have selected. Which means the client is authenticated, you are not authorizing it, you are passing the client to do anything. You want to restrict the client to do something, then click AAA info file. So select the AAA info file. The same file you can use it for authorization. Click next and commit. Give done and done. Apply policy. Close it. Apply. Save config. So now you have enabled the authorization, including authentication. So now you try the request rejected by policy because it's not authorized way. Even you can remove it. You can try it now. Now itself it's not working because the reason is, go here and see the AAA.info.xml file. Fred Flintstone is the username and password. So the role is admin. See the allowed authorization for the role admin here. So the admin role is allowed to do foo slash dot star or dot star echo slash cgi hyphen bin slash x. These are the URLs are allowed to do by admin role user. Admin is not allowed to do dot star, that's why it's denying. So let me take this foo slash star. So I am going to pass it like foo slash anything I can pass because it's a foo slash dot star. If you pass it, it will work. So this is how the authorization is working. The URI based authorization we are bringing here. So this is how in DataPower authorization, auditing and authentication, authorization and auditing is working. Auditing is by default, it's all going to the logging. So if you want to see the auditing, go and see the view log. So it's all the logs has been displayed here. So this is the concept of authentication, authorization and auditing, which is AAA in DataPower. This AAA is which is very important concept in DataPower. So it has to be very useful in XML firewall, web service proxy, multi-protocol gateway. So it's a very important concept. All the interviewer will ask the questions about this concept. So I advise you to please go and take the video 1 or 2 times, better till you understand the concept, and do your own exercise. Create your own AAA policy file and create your own exercise and come up with your own exercise outputs. If you are having any doubts, if you are facing any issues on this, we are always ready to help you. Please shoot an email to info@3lineinfotech.com. Then we will get in touch with you. We will schedule some time. We will help you to fix the issue and resolve your problem, and we will clarify your doubts. Thank you for your time today. Thanks a lot for your session today. We will meet again tomorrow on the next topics.